When I struggled with reflux, GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease, I remember staying up late researching all of the supplements, all of the diets. I was desperate to find the supplement that was going to help me stop my reflux. And I have pretty much tried all of them on the market, and that's why I created this YouTube channel years ago, because I want to help you guys cut through the noise, understand your reflux symptoms, and get relief. So if you're new here, definitely subscribe, like this video, let me know what kind of videos you want to see in the comments. If you want to know more about my reflux relief and GERD healing journey, definitely check out this video, because this walks you through kind of what I did to overcome GERD and wean off of acid suppression. But in this video, I'm going to answer the question, should you take probiotics if you have GERD? This is such a great question that I get asked all the time from our clients. And I'm going to walk you through a few scenarios, a few case studies in which probiotics have been super helpful, and then a few other situations where probiotics wouldn't be my go-to. Make sure you stay till the end of this video, because I'm also going to be sharing with you a free resource that can help you jumpstart your reflux healing journey. Okay, so let's start by talking about one of my clients who she came to me and she had had H. pylori twice in the past. So H. pylori is a type of bacterial strain that can live in your stomach, and about 70% of us have H. pylori, but it doesn't cause any problems. The issue is when it gets to a certain level that's too high. Maybe we didn't have enough healthy bacteria in our gut to kind of tamper the levels of H. pylori down. It's all a balance. You can think of your microbiome as this like delicate garden, and H. pylori can overgrow in some people. Maybe they weren't eating enough fiber, or they took a lot of antibiotics or something like that, and H. pylori has this opportunity to overgrow. And so for her, she had been treated for H. pylori multiple times. She's been on PPIs, she went on antibiotics, but she still had this burning feeling in her stomach, burning right underneath the rib cage, burping, nausea, really classic H. pylori symptoms despite treatment. So we did a GI map stool test, which is one of our favorite tools to help our clients understand their root cause of reflux symptoms. And we found that the level of H. pylori in her stool was elevated. And this can indicate that the level of H. pylori in the large intestine is elevated, but it also might indicate that H. pylori other places could be elevated. And the issue with getting H. pylori testing on an endoscopy is they may only take biopsy samples from a few places in the stomach, and potentially they can miss an H. pylori overgrowth. So what we did was we treated her for H. pylori with a few of our favorite things like mastic gums, sulforaphane, which is broccoli seed extract, and a biofilm disruptor as well. And this was about a 2-month protocol, and she was feeling a lot better. But right after that, we did go in with a lactobacillus strain called PyloGuard that we really like to use for elevating healthy bacteria and preventing H. pylori recurrence. So she's doing really well. She doesn't have any reflux symptoms unless she has like a lot of pizza late at night or something that would be like an obvious trigger. So that's an example of when you may actually want to use a probiotic post H. pylori treatment, but you do want to make sure that that H. pylori is successfully eradicated, because H. pylori is not going to be treated with just probiotics alone. I want to tell you about one of our clients, Erin, as well. This is a case where probiotics were massively helpful. She came to us with symptoms of bloating, irregular bowel movements, constipation. Her stools were hard to pass, pretty dry, and she just felt like 6 months pregnant every day. Like her bloating would start around 3 to 4 p.m. and then just like get worse throughout the day. And so we recommended that she get tested for small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. We do use the Trio Smart breath test in our practice, but you can also request a SIBO breath test from your GI doctor if this home testing isn't available to you. So she did test positive for methane dominant SIBO. And methane dominant SIBO, in my experience as a registered dietitian who has worked with hundreds of people with SIBO, methane dominant SIBO can be a little bit more tricky to treat than hydrogen or hydrogen sulfide. And so sometimes we need more than just antibiotics that are given to us from the GI doctor to really treat effectively methane dominant SIBO. So she did take the antibiotics from her GI doctor, but she didn't have any relief. She was still having a lot of reflux, and she was diagnosed with GERD. She was having constipation, bloating still. So we used some antimicrobials. We also used some probiotics. And we did a lactobacillus bifido blend of probiotics, and this was really, really helpful for regulating her bowel movements, in addition to nutrition. So we really focused on soluble fiber, hydration, really a holistic approach. But this is a case where you may want to use probiotics if you have GERD that is driven from some sort of gut imbalance, like small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Now, here's the caveat. SIBO sometimes doesn't respond well to probiotics if it has not been successfully treated first. So I would never just give someone SIBO probiotics thinking that was going to help treat their SIBO. That's not what I'm saying at all. The SIBO does need to be eradicated with antimicrobials or with antibiotics, but then in the recovery portion of our plan, we may incorporate some probiotics. So there's an example there with a caveat. A few other scenarios where I may use probiotics in the case of someone with GERD could be just general gut dysbiosis. So someone who's had a ton of antibiotic use. We have a lot of clients coming to us where they feel their symptoms started after a time of high antibiotic use. Maybe they had a lot of sinus infections or a lot of UTIs. For me personally, actually, my reflux started after a year of chronic UTIs. And so I was using a ton of antibiotics and my microbiome was decimated. And so if this sounds like you, using a broad spectrum lactobacillus bifidobacterium blend could be really, really nice in helping restore some of your gut microbiome. So you may want to consider something like that. And I actually do have our recommended products page with a few of my favorite probiotics, but probiotics really are very individual and it really does depend on your symptoms, your lifestyle, what things you're already utilizing or getting from your diet. So it's very helpful to get your supplement recommendations from a trusted healthcare professional, and you can book a one-on-one session with us and we can give you that protocol in the one-on-one session. But if you just want to know what some of our top picks are, I have our recommended product page down below for those in the description. So I mentioned the GI Map stool test, and that is a stool test that gives you a really comprehensive view of your gut microbiome and also gives you a view inside your intestinal lining health. And you probably have heard this term. I really, really hate this term. It's called leaky gut. But it's referring to when the cells of your GI tract, the enterocytes, become a little bit loose. And this is a condition that can be temporary. Like if I went out and ran a marathon, I'd probably have some sort of leaky gut after. Times of high stress, really intense exercise, lots of antibiotic use, not enough nutrition or poor microbiome health. All these things can contribute to the tightening or loosening of your enterocytes, your intestinal cells. But the GI Map does give us a little indicator called zonulin, and zonulin is a protein that your gut will produce if you are experiencing some intestinal permeability, or AKA leaky gut. One of my clients, her name was Nicole, and they've given me permission, by the way, because they've written me testimonials, but she came and she was having bloating, reflux. She was diagnosed with GERD. She's been dealing with this for almost a decade. We ran a GI Map stool test and we saw that she had high zonulin. And this really did match with her clinical picture because she also had a lot of food sensitivities. So she was reacting to things like eggs and oatmeal, things that are not really reflux triggers. And so if you have a lot of food sensitivities, this might be something you want to look into. So what we did was really optimize her diet. We made sure she was getting a diversity of foods, adequate fiber, omega-3 rich foods like flax, salmon, walnuts. We also used L-glutamine, and we made sure she was getting enough zinc in her diet through pumpkin seeds and put her on a high-quality multivitamin. And then we also used probiotics as well in this scenario because we wanted to use a probiotic that would help to strengthen her intestinal lining. So she's doing a lot better, feeling really good, and no longer has GERD, which is amazing. Another scenario that I see all the time, and actually happened to me as well, is when you get GERD from a foodborne illness. Like maybe you had a little bit of occasional reflux and maybe some heartburn, but then you get food poisoning and bam, you're just right into chronic GERD multiple times per week, heartburn, throat pain, chest pain. This is actually pretty common. There's something called post-infectious IBS, where you can have a lot of IBS symptoms or reflux symptoms post-foodborne illness. And that can be because sometimes the bacteria is hanging out in the GI tract, or maybe the foodborne illness changed your gut microbiome composition temporarily. There's, needs to be more research in this, but we know for sure post-infectious IBS is really common and can cause some pretty severe digestive issues. This happened to me. I ate something when I was in Austin once, and that was also the time that my GERD just kind of skyrocketed and became really insufferable. Around the same time I was taking all those antibiotics. So the message from this story is there's usually multiple root causes here. But with this scenario, you might want to consider some sort of probiotic. In this case, we might use like a megaspore or a spore-based probiotic, something like this. But this is another example of when I may use a probiotic for GERD. Here are a few examples of where I would not really use a probiotic. So just today, I had 2 clients with a condition called gastroparesis. And gastroparesis is a condition where the stomach is emptying slowly and we have slow gastric motility. So things are moving slowly through the GI tract. You can get diagnosed with gastroparesis through a gastric emptying scan, and it's really helpful to know because it is a little bit of a different condition and it can cause GERD symptoms or even be misdiagnosed. I definitely have had a lot of clients that came to me and their symptoms were diagnosed as GERD, but actually they really were presenting more like gastroparesis, and so we get the testing done just so we can understand, because you may be on a PPI where acid production is really not your problem. Maybe it's a motility problem. Maybe things are moving too slowly or emptying too slowly from your stomach. So that's why the right diagnosis is so key, and we really want to understand like your testing next steps, and that's what we love to help our clients do. So for this case, gastroparesis, this is more of a motility-related concern, and we might use different dietary modifications, creating a flexible meal schedule, reducing fat and fiber in your meals. We might run a GI map stool test if you have some other concerning symptoms, but if bowel movements are okay, no bloating, which might not be the case with gastroparesis, but if we really know why you have gastroparesis, then this really wouldn't be a time where I would use a probiotic. Similarly, if someone has no lower GI symptoms, so their bowel movements are really good, there's really no bloating going on, but they have a large hernia or they have a lower esophageal sphincter issue, this might not be the time I would use a probiotic. We might utilize other lifestyle tools. We might use alginates. Alginate therapy is one of my favorite tools for people with hernias and lower esophageal sphincter issues. We might use diaphragmatic breathing to help tone the sphincter. We might use IMTP breathing. There's so many different tools, but probiotics probably wouldn't be my go-to. The last thing that I'm thinking of where I wouldn't want to use a probiotic is when there is so many other things we could do first. So sometimes we get really caught up in the supplements and the protocols, but actually it's the unsexy basics that can go a long way. The unsexy basics are really understanding your nutrition needs, making sure your meals are balanced. Your meals have a protein, carb, a plant, really chewing your food, slowing down at your meals so that you can actually digest, and making sure that you're understanding hunger and fullness, not eating past fullness, not going too long in between meals. Also, nervous system health, really diving into your nervous system. This is absolutely key. If you take one thing away from my videos, take away the importance of nervous system health. You have to manage stress in order to make progress with reflux. Stress is a major cause of reflux. Taking a probiotic will do absolutely nothing for you if you're in a state of chronic fight or flight, if you have unresolved trauma, if you have a lot of stress that is unmanaged. You have to implement things to help you move through that, whether that's therapy or daily practices like yoga, meditation, things we really talk a lot about on the Flora app. You have to have these daily habits to help empty your stress cup. So when we can use some of these unsexy basics like nutrition and nervous system and hydration and other things, that would be much more important than taking a probiotic. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this answered your questions and gave you some insights into some potential root causes of reflux and some scenarios where you may or may not want to use a probiotic. Now, if you are looking for more support on your reflux journey, definitely take a look at our freebies in the description. I have a free meal plan with recipes to give you some inspiration for your meal planning and prepping. And I also have a free reflux-friendly grocery list. So be sure to grab those down below. That's going to help you out in your meal planning and meal prepping this week. Also, You are probably wondering, what are the supplements that I typically use for reflux and what are the most effective supplements for reflux? I have a video on breaking down our top 3 supplements for reflux here, so you don't want to miss that one. Be sure to check it out. And of course, be sure to like, subscribe, leave me a comment if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video.